Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Uncommon Men Global. Shout out to everyone out there, guys. Here we are on episode 33. Excited, fired up, guys. We're going to bring you another Uncommon Gentleman tonight. Have a great conversation. I hope that you are inspired, motivated. Most importantly, guys, if you're watching us for the first time or the second time or the 33rd time, please remember to like the broadcast. If you're on our YouTube channel, subscribe to the broadcast so you get all the updates. And also share the broadcast. Same thing on social media, guys. Support, just like, share. Hey, leave comments tonight. We will answer your questions. We will give your comments and give you a shout out as well. And listen, we are going to rock and roll. Time is money, and we don't want to waste 1 second. Tonight, we have a very, very, very distinguished gentleman joining us. But before we bring on our guest, I want to bring on my partner, Mr. Dan Putnam, to the stage. Get this right. Dan, what's going on, buddy? How are you, brother?
Man, good. Everything good. I was in Kazakhstan last week and kind of trouble with some flights, but that's just kind of how it goes. You know, everything's going good. A lot of exciting things coming on. 4th of July this weekend, or this Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool coming up, and just all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, man. So we always want to start off there because I know you travel in the world. I don't know what you might have experienced in the airports out there in Kazakhstan with a big auditorium full of leaders making money, this, that, and the other. But I always want to ask you, man, based on what you experienced from last week to now, what's the word of the day? What's the mindset?
You know what? The mindsets just keep on pushing, grinding, and really starting to appreciate the grind. You know what I mean? I think that so much of life has to do with mindset. And far too often we focus on the things that are going wrong. And then all of a sudden, it just seems like things suck. You know what I mean? If you look at a relationship, you could have a girl that, like, if you go all the way up to 100 things and like 95 out of 100 are perfect. But if you focus on the 5 things that are annoying, it's just going to be an annoying person. And you can have somebody that's just kind of like 50-50, but you focus on the positive side, and then it's going to be like, hey, this is a pretty good match. And so I think I kind of jinxed myself, and I'm also starting to really learn to
like that,
manifest the positive. Because last time I went to Kazakhstan, I'll tell you a couple stories here, and then we'll bring on the guest. So last time I was flying from Salt Lake City, direct flight to Paris, and then from Paris I had a flight to Frankfurt, Germany, and then direct flight to Kazakhstan. I get to Paris, everything fine. So everything seemed like it's going to be good. Paris had an old terminal that had been shut down through COVID. They just barely opened it back up. The bus ride probably took 45 minutes to get there. I had about 2.5 hours in order to make my connection in Paris. The bus ride is like 45 minutes. And then I'm literally like walking around in circles, cannot find my gate for probably another 45 minutes. I finally go and then I go through passport control, think everything's good. Then they have a secondary security that you have to go through. They stop me, go through all of my bags, and end up missing the flight. So now I'm kind of backtracking. One of our other corporate members was also in Paris, but he was going from Paris to Istanbul, Turkey, and then to Almaty, Kazakhstan. So I have to buy a new flight in order to do that. So we get on the same flight to Turkey, and there's a delay. Once we get there, we miss that flight. And then we have to stay at the airport for all the way till the next day. They didn't have any till the next day. We were supposed to arrive at around midnight on Saturday morning. The event started at 9 a.m. on Saturday. We arrived at about 9 p.m. and hundreds of people stayed and waited from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for us to get there. So what I'm talking about manifesting, I was thinking, man, I hate this trip. Every single time I go on this trip, something happens. It gets screwed up every time. And I've made the trip. This was my 6th time. There's only been one time that I arrived on the correct day.
Go
So
ahead.
thinking, man, I don't want to do this trip. I don't even really want to go. It's a long flight. Best case scenario, it's like 30, 32, 33 hours. And so what I'm talking about manifesting, that was my mindset.
Right.
Oh, I have a flight from Salt Lake City to Atlanta, Atlanta to Frankfurt, Frankfurt direct to Almaty. That's what the game plan was. So Salt Lake City, right? And I only had one tight layover. That was, I had an hour and 15 minutes in Atlanta. So that was my one tight layover. Salt Lake City left an hour late. My one thing that they could screw up, Salt Lake City left. I missed my flight.
Wow.
Delta reroutes, and I go from Atlanta to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Frankfurt. But now, instead of having a 5-hour layover in Frankfurt, I have an hour and 45 minutes. And I asked them, I said, are you pretty sure that I'm going to be able to make it on this connection? Because if not, I want to look at other options. Because if I miss this flight, then it's just all messed up again. And they said, you should be able to, because you're going to be going through customs control in the Netherlands, not in Germany, which wasn't correct. So anyways, I go to Amsterdam, everything good. I go to Germany. If anybody's been to Frankfurt, from Terminal 2 to Terminal 1, it's just an absolute mess. And they have, again, 2 different passport controls to go through, 2 different things of security before you get through. Miss the flight. So now I'm like, oh, this sucks. Now the next thing I can do is fly the next day, miss the entire meeting. And there's thousands, like over 2,000 tickets sold. So pretty big meeting. And so I'm looking and I'm like, okay, is there any tickets possible that I can purchase and still get there? I'm supposed to get there at midnight. Meeting starts at 9. I found one going on Qatar Airlines to Doha, then Doha back to Almaty, and I'd get there at 7 in the morning and would be able to make the event. Fly to Doha, 6-hour flight from Frankfurt. Delay. Missed the flight. Now, when you're thinking, at my original flight from Frankfurt to Almaty, when I missed that connection, they cancel the flight. So now I have to buy a new flight from Almaty back. I'm going to miss the entire event. And I go to buy the ticket back, and it's like $1,300 because of last minute. And when I bought the round trip before, it was $500. So then I'm like, well, maybe if I fly back from Doha back to Frankfurt, I can catch my flight that they already transferred me on the next day. So I get like a $400 ticket instead of a $1,200 ticket, fly another 6 hours back to Frankfurt. And then I look at my ticket, and they gave me they put me on the wrong flight. They put it to Astana instead of Almaty. And so now I have to go, and the whole thing was just a cluster in that entire airport with weather delays and stuff like that. I stayed in line from 8 p.m. to almost 3 a.m., 2:45 a.m. to get my flight changed. And then I finally get my flight changed and show up at midnight on Sunday morning instead of midnight on Saturday. But you could look at that and be like, this sucks. And it did suck, kind of. I mean, there's a lot worse things that can happen. I got there safe. You know what I mean? So I'm learning to change my mindset and not be so worried about things that I have literally zero control over, and then start to think about it. You know what? I probably manifested this to happen in the first place because I was so negative about taking the trip. I didn't want to go on the trip, bottom line. I was like, is there any excuse that I can come up with to not go on this trip? Because just not only is it a long flights, short trip, it's a lot of work doing the meetings all through translators. There's so many leaders there. They all want, the pictures and their books signed and personal letters and stuff like that. So it's literally like probably 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of just writing letters individually to all of these people, which again, it's that mindset. If I look at that as a positive thing and building business and creating excitement and building relationships and stuff like that, or if I look at it as just a pain in the ass, it's the same thing, right. But how you're looking at it, how your mindset is, makes all the difference in the world. And I'm like, these people paid a bunch of money traveling because they came from not just Kazakhstan, but Ukraine, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey, other areas around the world to come and listen to us speak and to meet us and to do all of that. And I have a mindset of like, this is a pain in the ass. And I'm like, but what is it? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I had a lot of time to think about over the last couple of weeks is mindset. Quit being selfish, looking at a bigger picture, not as much about, what's in it for me. I think so often it's always like, looking at things on your own perspective. You know what I mean? Your own, like, what am I going to get out of this? Is the business going to grow? I'm going to make more money. What is the case? And instead of like expecting what's in it for me, just kind of figure out, proper mindset and go out there and help people and create excitement and get them to dream bigger, dream stronger, believe more in themselves, believe more in the company. And so it's been a lot of time to, just all of those times sitting in the airport. I literally was almost 60 hours where I was either on an airplane or in an airport, no hotel, no nothing, in order to do anything. Now they did have in Germany places that you can go inside the airport and shower. So I did shower and change my clothes and stuff like that, but no bed. And it just, anyways, I don't want to go on and on. We have a great guest here, but the big thing for me is mindset. Mm-hmm. Quit worrying so dang much about stuff that you have no control over. And quit being a pussy, quit being a baby. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I missed the flights. This happened, that happened. But there's a lot more people going through a lot more struggles than a 50-hour trip to Almaty.
That's real.
But it's all in how you look at things, man. You know what I mean? And I need to sometimes my mind will be in the right place and be strong. And other times I look at it as almost pathetic. And the reason I talk about these things is because these are things that I'm working on, and it's a constant work. It's not like I figure out my mind and all of a sudden my mind is super strong. That goes from like strong to like, I look at things. I'm like, this isn't, I mean, what in the world are you doing? Who are you? I mean, is this who you are now? Is this what you're doing? Is this the type of person that you are? Because before I'd look at the opportunity, these flights, problems, stuff like that, and my mind would be that's why this is a good opportunity. That's why I have the ability to make millions or tens of millions of dollars, is because I'm doing all of this stuff that most of the other people won't do. Right. And that's how you have to look at things. And again, it's not easy, and I'm constantly going through those struggles. But that's kind of my reminder with this uncommon movement is just, man, you can't take your foot off the gas. You got to keep that mind strong. You got to look at things a positive outlook and quit manifesting bullshit into your life. You know what I mean? I feel like so many times when I really take a step back and meditate and focus on some of these situations that I don't like, and I'm like, you know what? I think I brought that on myself. And one of my favorite sayings, you've heard me say it many times, Clavon, is if you knew how powerful your brain was, you wouldn't have a negative thought. And so let's leave out the negative and let's manifest the positive. And let's go ahead and bring on our guest here.
Yeah, that's a great word today. I think one of our guests, one of our viewers just commented, perception is reality, right? Perception is everything.
Yeah.
That's
Perception is your reality. I wouldn't say perception is reality, but perception is your reality.
Perception is your reality. And we're going to talk about mindset a little bit more tonight. We got Paul Moore on the line. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you on here, brother. Welcome to the Uncommon Movement, the Uncommon Family. This is episode 33. This is episode 33, my brother. And gotta be something powerful about that. And so, Paul, we're going to get to know a lot about, your accomplishments up to date right now. As far as career accomplishments, you're a very high-ranking earner and a very formidable network marketing global business. You've seen that you've done it time and time again. There's a pattern to your success. I know that you're a happily married man and a happy father. But we're going to go back, Paul, and we're going to just get some insight on your background, my brother. Where were you raised, and parents, siblings, and just some of those things that you may have experienced in your adolescence that helped shape you, and as you were becoming a young man. Just give us a little insight on your background, brother.
All right. So first of all, I just want to give it back to Clavon and Dan. Thank you so much for inviting me to this episode. I appreciate y'all. I'm watching what y'all doing, and I'm happy that you wanted me to be a part of it. I appreciate y'all. So I was born in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. Moved to Philly when me and my mom and I was about one maybe. And from then on, I was raised in Philly. Of course, the old the Will Smith song in West Philadelphia, born and raised. I was raised in West Philadelphia.
Okay.
literally about 10 minutes away from Overbrook High School, where Will Smith attended high school. And I was just a kid who I say this all the time. I never got into, selling any type of drugs, anything. I just was around the older individuals who sold narcotics. I'll put it that way. And I just, I was raised in an environment of they were how I want to put it. They had morals, but they didn't really have morals, if that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, they would have wives, and then they would have girlfriends, but then they would tell you, treat them all good. Like it was like as I got older, I look back at it, I'm like, that didn't make any sense at all. None. So that's my childhood. I graduated from high school. I started college, but I didn't finish it because college just wasn't for me. And then I ventured off into corporate America. I ended up working for one of the fifth largest transportation company, which was SEPTA in Philly. I worked there for about 12 years. Well, prior to that, I had two jobs working, as I've always been in management. I became a manager when I was about 18, working at CVS. And then I went to SEPTA, started driving public transportation, and ended up working there and ended my career there in management about 12 years. Retired because of the industry of network marketing. We moved to Georgia, and I started my second life about 36. What am I, 41 now? I'm sorry, like 38. Started my second life, 38, retired. Happy to relearn my wife. We have 3 kids. My wife had 3 kids prior to me, and then we had one together. And just learning life. I was one of them ones that I never knew my dad because there was a story that my mom had told me of my dad putting her hands on her. That was the reason why we moved from Detroit. And I never met my dad up until my mom called me one time when I was about 28, 29 and told me that, no, I'm sorry, like 35. No, I'm sorry. I'm bad with the timeline. I'm bad with the timeline. and my mom told me that my father had passed away. And there was a whole trickle down effect of that, because when I got the obituary, I saw a picture of me in there, and I thought that my mom didn't have any contact with my dad. And then there was a whole my dad's last name is Iverson, my last name is Moorer, but I never remember any man being in my life at all. So apparently my mom was married at one point. And this is not I'm just telling my story. This is not a knock on my mom. I love my mom pieces. I honor my mom. I thank God for my mom. But she's 80. She just turned 80 this year. So that old school generation, they like to keep their secrets to themselves. So even to this day, I still don't know where the last name Mora came from, and I was a little bitter about that. I was a little bitter about that. But I had to come to the realization that that's my mom's story, and my wife had told me. She said, "You're not, you can't live on that and give her the control. You have to alter the legacy that you have of that last name, regardless of where it come from, because she may take that story to her grave." And from then on, I just started embracing it. And now my story leads me up to being my wife and I being 7-figure earners in this industry. And that's my story. I'm just, living life now.
Wow. Thank you for being transparent. What you got, Dan?
Was there Paul, was there anything that, in any sports, anything that made you think to go in business for yourself, or you pretty much just grew up the entire time, go to school, get a job, corporate America, stuff like that, and just through other people that you met, you decided to do some side business and stuff like that? Or is there anything that kind of pushed you in that direction, where you're kind of going that way? Or I guess growing up, like your dreams, any dreams that you had, or was it just kind of, grind it out, get a good job, have a family, live a good life, but not really any massive dreams? Just kind of curious on that.
No massive dreams. I played football. The one thing I do know, I did like money. So I played football. I started in the 10th grade, and I played defensive end and tight end. And I was good enough that they moved me from JV to varsity. But I didn't like not having my own money when I was in the 10th grade. So I stopped playing football and started working at CVS. And I just continued to work for the rest of my life. And that's what the rat race happened. I got caught up in the rat race of work. And I actually lost my dreams. I actually not lost them. I never had any to begin with, because all I knew was just have that immediate money in my pocket right then and there.
Yeah. What about now? Any big dreams? Any?
Man. So my biggest dream is I want to be able to have a separate bank account that my wife and I have, to where we bless families every single month.
Wow.
Either paying their rent, paying their car note, like taking care of their monthly expenses. At least 2 or 3 families a month to have enough in there to help 2 or 3 families every single month paying all their expenses.
We'll talk about that a little bit at the end, because that's one of the big pillars of this Uncommon movement and one of our focuses. But I can appreciate that. Clavon, let's just go ahead and dig right into these 5 main pillars. See the feedback that Paul might be able to give some nuggets. And the reason we do this, I mention this all the time, this Uncommon movement, this podcast, bringing on uncommon men, just kind of interviewing them, seeing their thoughts, how they grew up, all of those types of things. Is we want to be able to show people that success truly is a process, and it starts with a decision. So a lot of times people think, oh, this person just got lucky or this, that there could be some luck and timing involved. But what I've learned is that saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get, is true. It's very hard to sustain just luck. If somebody's going to go out and create wealth and maintain that for decade after decade after decade, that's typically more than luck. It could start with luck, but then you have to have some growth through that. And so what we're seeing in these 33 episodes is just a ton of commonalities of people that have been able to kind of, build this life and how their mindset were, the things that they work on, all of those different types of things. And just like I've said before, Clavon, if we were interviewing very unsuccessful people that were just in the constant grind, constant struggle, I know we'd find that they have a ton of commonalities. And the purpose of this is just to show every single person has the opportunity to be as successful as they want, however they define success. Because we're very clear, we do not define success as just money. I define success personally as happiness and peace and calm. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm a person that loves my job, my wife, my kids, everything is good. Regardless of the money I'm making, I have enough to survive. I'm not in the constant grind and struggle in the place that it affects all my relationships. Then I'd say that's a successful person. And then you could have somebody who's a billionaire on his seventh wife, 6, 7, 10, 12 different kids he doesn't even talk to. I wouldn't consider that success. So what we're getting at here is not just money. Mm-hmm. It's 5 key components that we focus on in order to help people have the best chance of truly having happiness, peace, comfort, calm in their life. Because so many people have everything but that. It's just like stress, struggle, fear. If you look at the things that we don't really dwell on that much, but the number one cause of death for men under 45 is suicide. Mm-hmm. That's not possible to have that statistic if people are happy, calm, peaceful, feel like they're in control, feel like they have hope, feel like they can accomplish anything, feel like they can accomplish something. And so this is really just to kind of empower people to realize that there is nobody in life that chooses for you. Mm. It's your choice. It's your decision. Now, you may not want to take that responsibility. You would rather blame others for your lack of success, blame others for your struggle. But at the end of the day, we're all humans. You could take anybody from any background, any economic background or race or education or whatever, and see people that reach the top, and you can take people that came from money and go all the way down to the bottom. And at the end of the day, we all have just so much power as a human being if we're willing to take the responsibility, make the choices, and really see what we can do. And that's what this is all about, is what can we do if we create a platform that only is designed for one reason: provide opportunity for those that are looking for it. It's not for everybody. Some people are happy with what they have. That they like their job. They love their wife, their kids, their family, all of that. That's awesome. This is for the people that want change in their life. Change doesn't just happen by snapping your fingers. Opportunity has to be present. You need the mentorship. You need the guidance. You need the people lifting you up. You need all of those things. And that's what this is all about. 5 different categories that we focus on. And Clavon, go ahead and get us started here.
Absolutely. Paul, I think you're going to really love this. We're going to learn a lot about you as we go through these 5 pillars, these 5 dynamics of the uncommon movement. The first one, I did want to ask you a quick question as we dive into this first one, because I had the chance to meet your wonderful wife a couple of years before I actually met you. Mm-hmm. She's a powerhouse, and you guys are definitely what I would call a power couple. So I'm just curious, how did you and Nina meet, And how did you know that she was your wife? You know, I just want to ask you that as we move into this health and fitness pillar.
So this is hilarious, right? So my wife is a pastor's daughter, and I came to the church that my father-in-law is the pastor of. Got invited by a friend. I was actually dating another girl that was inside the church, that was going to the church. And I came, and the first day I came, my wife was up there leading worship. And I asked, another one of my coworkers went there. And I asked him, I said, who is that? Right? And he had just joined the church, so he really didn't know. He said, oh, that's Nina. And I'm like, okay. So as I started to get to know her, I said, oh my gosh, I have a crush on the pastor's daughter. I was like, how's this going? Because I was like, I'm not nowhere near where my mind was at the time. Like, I'm like nowhere near. And we end up generating a relationship. And I opened myself up to her one time. It was like, hey, I ended it with the other girl. And I opened myself to her, said, hey, I like you. I want to see where this is going to go. And that's where it happened.
Great story. Great story, buddy.
Best decision I've ever made in my life.
Hey, man, I hear there's a lot of evidence out there that shows that. You know? So as we go into number one, because, you know, I've seen you guys for a couple of years be so serious about health and fitness, but I know that, if I may, it just seems like you have been really leading that charge. I mean, you're really about physical fitness and health. And so we feel, you know, when Dan was putting this thing together and I was able to touch and agree with him, that the ultimate element of success for men, right, for a man, it's got to be his health, his fitness, his wellness, right? And so I just want to ask you, man, how do you feel about that? Where are you now, you know, as it pertains to, you know, your health regimen? You know, what's your diet like? What's your exercise routine? Does health and fitness translate into your business? If so, how? And just tell us a little bit how important health and fitness is to you as an uncommon.
So I think I know the health aspect. At one point in time, I was at my heaviest. I was 245, and I remember one day when I was at my job that I was working. It was an older lady. She had walked past. Like, I had noticed myself getting big. This was around the time that we had our daughter Paige, and I noticed myself getting big, but I was ignoring it. Like, you could look in that mirror and you see it, but you really don't see it. You don't spend a lot of time in the mirror. You just walk past it. And I saw it. I was looking at myself, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not getting big." I noticed my uniform at the time was getting a little snug and everything. And it was this older lady, Ms. Ruth, because I remember what she said. I was walking by. She said, "Paul, you getting big," and that she said it like at the time, Ms. Ruth was, I don't know why she was still 70 working, but she was 70 working, and she said it with it was so honest, but it was truth. And I had to take and really look at myself like, well, and that's what it was. And that triggered it coincide with us having our daughter, because I said, wait a minute, how am I going to have a child and I'm not healthy? Like, kids require a lot of attention from one, even up until now. Like, our daughter is very active, so kids don't understand when you come home from a long day that daddy's tired or mommy's tired. All they know is they see a big toy, and it's usually the father. There's usually the father, the one that's wrestling around and doing all that stuff with them. So they don't understand that. And I said, I have to be the healthiest I can be for my daughter and my family, because the biggest thing is that, like, you hear this saying, everybody out here trying to chase the bag, but you can't chase the bag if you winded trying to chase the bag. If you're not healthy enough to chase the bag, you're not going to be able to get it. You're not going to be able to enjoy it. And my workout regimen is, I've been consistently working out Paige's 10, so about a strong 9.5 years now. consistently. My journey started out. I had to be to work at 5:30. I was up at 2 a.m. going to the gym and then going to work.
Wow.
That's how dedicated and committed I was. And then after that, it just became a lifestyle. And now I'm at the place where I'm up. Even though that I'm not working, I'm up at 4:30 so I can spend my time with God. And then after that, it's straight off to the gym. I'm at the gym. I do some type of physical activity about 6 days a week. My only day off is Sunday. So I consistently am in the cycle of this is my life. And this is what I'm committed to, because if I can show people how to become their best self, just a little bit, just 20 to 30 minutes a day of some type of physical activity, it'll change your entire life. But you just have to commit that time to you have to be intentional. Like, I made it my business, and I still make it my business to get up earlier before my family and make sure that my mental and my physical is right before anything else. Because that's a lot of times, that's how a lot of us men, because we're not committed. A lot of men have an issue with consistency. And I think that if you're able to conquer this fitness and health, and be consistent with that, then you'll see other things in your life open up that you can be consistent in.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure, Paul. And we really look at as a human being, our health, fitness wise, physically fitness, but also mental are one of our most important things. We kind of say that the two most important assets as a human, if you're not getting into spirituality and your family and stuff like that, is going to be your health, physical and mental, and your time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what we're focused on with this Uncommon movement is getting people to spend some time on their physical and mental, and they go hand in hand. A lot of times, if you're doing a lot physically, it helps with the mental.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people start to struggle with the mental and get into that depression when they're not moving. They start gaining weight. Things aren't going very good. They're not looking that good. They're not feeling like doing anything. Now they're low energy. All of those types of things, low frequency even. You can just go next to them and see that this person is not, vibing, and they start working out. They get a little bit of confidence, stuff like that. They start feeling a little bit better. The energy comes up, frequency comes up, and now all of a sudden the mental is working better. So, but at the same time, there's some people in phenomenal shape that are struggling mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people that are in poor shape that are much stronger mentally than they are physically. So we really focus on both of these aspects as being key to success as a human male. And so with that being said, are there any books, anybody that you follow, podcasts, social media, that you're liking for physical fitness, for mental fitness, for food, for nutrition, anything like that any books that you can recommend for some people just to kind of give them some nuggets, or anything that's really worked well for you? Obviously, it sounds like waking up early, having some alone time to get your mind right, to get your spirituality right, and stuff like that. That seems like it's helped keep you grounded and focused and things like that. But anything else that you would recommend? Any books, any mentors, any podcasts, any people you follow on social media?
Man. All right. So the first book that I read that's incorporated into my everyday life is my word, my Bible. I believe for me, that is my blueprint of how life is supposed to go. And I know for me that it really impacts me, and it helps me be a better person each and every day. A book that I read, As a Man Thinketh. Another book was
what did you take from that? As a Man Thinketh. Any nuggets that you can say that it's like, man, this really hit me hard? Anything that you've implemented into your daily life, or just like keeping your mind open and stuff like that?
I think the biggest thing from As the Man Thinketh is the title. As the Man Thinketh, so is he. Like
Yeah.
whatever we perceive in our mind that we are, whether if it's positive or negative, that's how we're going to live out our life. And a lot of people don't understand when they go back to what you were saying, Dan, about the mental aspect. Like if you really think and believe, like we have some people out here who can't play a lick of basketball, who can't play a lick of football, but in their mind, they think that they're the best thing smoking, right? Yeah. And the reality is that, you know, if they keep practicing or whatever, they may end up being that, but at that very moment, they think they're the best. So I really think that if you say and you have what you say, if you say that you're a failure, then you're going to end up having failure actions. If you say that you're not able to drop this weight, then you're not going to be able to drop the weight. Like all that plays into what you say and how you think. All that plays into how you actually walk out your life.
Good stuff, brother.
I saw something just today that kind of made me think a little bit. Let me see. I was talking about, I don't remember the exact number, but I believe that it said that this phrase was in the Bible 365 times. And then it kind of flashes through on this like TikTok video. And it says 365 different times in the Bible, do not be afraid. Mm-hmm. And it made me think so much of everything is kind of fear driven. Mm-hmm. And it paralyzes us sometimes. And we're afraid to tell people what we want. We're afraid to, even with relationships, with spouses, a lot of times you're afraid to tell them that you don't feel like your needs are being met because mm-hmm. you're afraid you might hurt their feelings or something like that. And then you're expecting them to just kind of read your mind and know what you want. And you're sitting there thinking that, man, mm-hmm. they're not doing any of this for me. They're doing, you know what I mean? All of those things. And we just, so many times how we're thinking and what we're doing are causing the exact situation that we're in. I've seen like so many times, like if you take any person, they're exactly where they are today because of the actions that they're doing consistently, day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out for the last several months to decades to years or whatever. But I thought it was interesting when I saw that somebody sent it to me 365 times in the Bible, do not be afraid. And my thought came, it's like, man, just that one simple thing could change people's lives mm-hmm. because they're afraid to do all they like get stuck in a pattern that keeps them where they're at. And they're mm-hmm. afraid to make any waves. They don't want to offend somebody. They don't want to do any of these things. So I thought that was interesting that you said the Bible being one of the things that you read in the morning to kind of keep that mindset spiritually, mentally, and stuff like that. And there's so many things that you can take out of that. But I just literally saw that today. So it reminded me when you was talking about that. But that's awesome. And I agree 100% on that, mindset as a man thinketh, stuff like that.
It's amazing that you mentioned fear because I truthfully believe fear is taught. We're taught to fear things because I look at my 10-year-old and like she operates like there's no care until you say like this is the reason why or until you put that thought in their mind, that's where the fear comes in at. But other than that, they don't know. Like my daughter just started getting on roller coasters. Like for a minute, she was afraid because it's just something that I don't do. I got on roller coasters and I was like, I just don't like it. But but so what happened is that she heard me do that and she's like, well, I'm not getting on either. And for some reason, something just it just popped in her mind, like, okay, I'm gonna get on. And she ended up getting on. It was like now she loves him. But that fear thing is taught. It's taught.
For sure. It's funny that there's a song that we put together and I helped write with a good friend of mine called Break the Cycle. And in that song, Break the Cycle, one of the lyrics says, they put thoughts in our head until we believe them. And that's kind of how it goes. It's interesting that you say that. Fear is something that 100% is taught. And it can really hold us back. But that I didn't think about that earlier today, but that's 100% correct. I appreciate that little nugget right there. Clavon, let's go ahead and jump to number 2 and keep this thing moving.
Yeah, I think you're going to appreciate this so much, Paul, because this is what I think led us all to know each other. This pursuit of financial literacy, financial empowerment, especially what's afforded through network marketing. Because when we talk about financial literacy as the second pillar here in the Uncommon Movement, we're teaching men, listen, come on, we can't talk about freedom without really understanding the power of money, especially in this capitalistic society, right? So, and when we talk about money, Paul, I mean, I know you understand this. We'd love to get your insight. We're really talking about the difference between linear income. You at CBS as a kid wanting a source of freedom and some, trading time for money. This laborious conditioning of working 40 to 50 hours per week, thinking there's some freedom there, right? When you're always going to have more month, at the end of that money.
Yep.
Okay, versus residual income. And so we can talk about that. And I think what we have come to really want to drive home to men's minds is that often freedom comes from leverage when we're talking about money. Being leveraged, and that leverage can be the byproduct of residual income, or maybe the residual income can give you the leverage. But this is where we are right now. Let's teach the world the difference between linear income and residual income, the importance of leverage, and maybe how the industry we all love has afforded you that at a 7-figure experience. So let's talk about financial literacy. What do you think, Paul?
So I think that and this is my story. I didn't understand or know about how to create an LLC till I was probably about 33, 34. Because that stuff is not taught. And this is not a knock on school. That stuff is not taught. The institutions that we go to as far as school and all that, which is something that we have to, is that you're that stuff is not taught. So you're not taught how to start an LLC. You're not taught how to open up a business bank account. You're not taught how to file your taxes. You're not taught any of that. And what happens is that you get stuck there. You don't really understand until you introduce the power of residual income. And a lot of times what happens is that because we in our lives get caught up in credit cards and all that stuff and loans and everything of that sort, that the residual aspect we don't see because we're trying to pay off what we have. So it automatically ingrained in us just as men, period, to start working more so we can start paying off stuff the debt that we incurred. And the residual aspect of it, until I started understanding and learning, you have to, of course you have to put work in. You have to put work in. That's the biggest thing. To earn that residual aspect, the same work that you put into the linear income is the same work that you should put into building your residual income, because that's what's going to sustain, and that's just going to keep coming when you're able to go to your kids' plays or go on vacation and not have to worry about anything. That's when that residual kicks in.
Right. Real powerful. Anything you want to add to that, Dan? Dan, you're on mute.
Oops, sorry about that. Same question on that. And any books, any mentors, any people you follow on social media that focus on residual income, leveraged income, whether it's real estate, whether it's different types of investing, or anything like that, and anything that's kind of opened up your mind on what's possible. People that you've seen 7, 8, 10-figure earners that are going out there and making things happen that have been like, man, this is what I need to do. I like what they're talking about. Just that some other people might get some nuggets from them also.
Well, just in this industry alone that we're in, seeing Clavon, seeing you, seeing other people from the past, because I don't say a lot, but I watch everything, and I listen, and I see you guys, and because I've seen Clavon on stages and heard him speak, and I'm like, yo, my man he can capture a room, like he can really capture a room, and it's because of this industry, because this industry has helped cultivate him and have that residual income, so he's able to work on being a better speaker, understanding how to learn how to control and captivate a room. Then the same thing with you. Like I watch you in front of a room, and I watch how like every speaker is different. Like Dan is so calm and cool, and you'd be like, does he even care about what he's saying? but when you hear his passion in it, it's like, oh yeah, he really does. But in the same breath, like, you guys have been successful. So I've watched you guys, and like I said, in previous companies, I've watched the men, and like, yo, this can really work. A lot of people that I follow, like on social media, like Earn Your Leisure, the EYL guys, the financial literacy guys. I look at my father-in-law, actually, who is a great manager, my brother-in-law, who are great managers, of great stewards of the businesses that they have. Because I'm really like a hands-on guy, so I gravitate to people that's close to me. Another friend of Clavon and ours, Mr. Kevin Harris, he has a business going on, and I cling to him, and I talk to him for information, because I really like to gravitate towards people that's close, so I can pick their brains.
Right, I love it.
I'm like, people that are far off, like, you can read their books, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with reading their books, but I operate off of interaction. I also have a mentor now, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
His guy CJ, me and him have a relationship. He actually lives about 10 minutes away from us. And we end up linking up, and I cling to him for stuff because he's like the actual brain behind Eric Thomas. So that's where I want to be. Like, I'm not an upfront guy. I'll speak if I have to speak, but I like being behind the scenes, making stuff work.
That's awesome. You know, that kind of leads us right into number 3. If the timing is right, and I just kind of have heard you share about mentors, as we talked about health and wellness. We just talked about financial literacy, but you know, the way, again, I really applaud, the way Dan, built this out, because I believe in my heart that as a man stands, masculated and full of testosterone, a real man, he's going to focus on his health and fitness and his wellness, so he can enjoy the fruits of his labor and his family, right? And then, hey, at the end of the day, you got to leave back an inheritance, and we need to live a fruitful lifestyle. Let's get our money right? But to get those 2 things, I think the last 3 that we're going to run through, Paul, they help you accomplish those first 2 things, right? Meaning another overview of personal growth and development and our last 2 pillars. So these are the 3 that help you get the prize. And so just another little overview, because you touched on your personal life, and so many have come on here and didn't have relationships with their biological fathers. And sometimes it could be an emptiness there. I know for me, if it wasn't for stepfathers, mentors in my community, powerful men, the industry of network marketing, when I came in the game, it was all personal growth and development, with the compensation plan. So just digging a little bit deeper, that absence of the father figure? How was that growing up? And were there any other mentors that maybe we haven't talked about that helped fill that void and get you to where you are now?
Man, I as a kid growing up, because of the story that was told to me, it was basically my dad put his hands on my mom and she left. So that story was told to me. So I was like, I don't like him. I don't ever want to meet him because you put your hands on my mom. But then even in that, there's certain things as a man that you seek. Like there's nothing like your father telling you like he loves you or telling you that he's proud of you. And that was something that I never had. Now, I did have a close friend who passed away, I want to say now about it's been like 6 years or something like that. His name was Sean, and he was like my big brother slash father. No, he wasn't the best, but he showed me how to take care of your family. Because he went to work, he had all these side hustles. He always made sure his family was cool. And he really showed me how to take care of your family. And he showed me the epitome of loyalty. And then after that, I end up having another mentor slash uncle. I still call him uncle to this day. His name is Greg Jackson. He taught me the how to communicate with your wife, how you should be with her, how you're supposed to be sensitive to your wife, and how you're supposed to just love on her unconditionally. And then I moved on to my father-in-law, who is everything in one. Spirit, like the other two, they didn't have the spiritual aspect, right? So I moved to my father-in-law, and my father-in-law has everything in one. Like he's a spiritual covering. He knows how to take care of his family. He knows how to manage a business. Like he knows how to earn income and all that. So so those were the three impacting. Of course, I had other little influences, but as far as those three, and with my brother-in-law, which is my wife's brother, he taught me how the importance of keeping your word. And how important it is, because I was always one to keep my word, but it was the little things. Like if somebody was having a birthday party, I say I would come, and then I wouldn't come. Like the little minute stuff. And he ended up with the thing that stuck out to me is one Sunday he was preaching. He preached 2 services, and then he had a meeting after service. But he told my wife he was going to stop and get some food. And our oldest daughter was with him. And after he preached 2 services, after the meeting, he still was very intentional about going to pick up the food he said he was going to get. So just the little stuff like that, it stuck out to me because our kids are watching the little stuff. So if we don't keep our word on the little stuff, how we expect them to keep our word on the big stuff? So we can't train. It says, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, but we can't train them up if we're not leading them in the right direction.
Yeah, there's a book out called The 4 Agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole concept of being impeccable with your word is just phenomenal. That changed my life, and it was the little things, Paul. What you got for that, Dan?
You know what? I kind of think that we talked a little bit about the personal development and the mindset and stuff like that throughout it, but I think that kind of moves really good for the next one with the accountability.
I want to ask you, Dan.
And the self-respect and it's just interesting. The thing that drives me crazy about myself still to this day is that I still struggle more keeping my promises to myself than to other people. And I've seen these memes, I've seen these sayings, I've seen these different things like if you have a friend and you can't ever count on him, he's always lying to you, he's always disrespecting you, all of these different things. what are you going to think about that person? And typically you're going to be like, I'm not going to like them, you know? And then it's like, then why do we continually do that to ourselves? Well, I mean, in reality, nobody should be having the same New Year's resolutions every single year.
Right.
And most people have had them for decades, the same ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll sit there if our boss says, hey, you need to come into work on Saturday at 4:30 in the morning, take all this trash out, do all this, do all these things, you're probably going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you tell yourself you're going to start this, you know, mental program or diet or business or something like that on Monday, by Thursday, you're already starting to give up on yourself. And so the whole aspect of accountability, and it goes much further, because accountability, the reason we put this in here, Paul, is because people can't be self-accountable, because if they could, so many more would be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have the same New Year's resolutions every year. You wouldn't have the people constantly saying, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So accountability, in order to have accountability, like the way I see it, there has to be some sort of an agreement, some sort of a system, some sort of a brotherhood, some sort of, you know, something, in order to even have something to be accountable to other than just yourself. Because if you're only accountable to yourself, in theory, that should be enough. You should be able to have enough self-respect for yourself that if you tell yourself you're going to do something, that you actually care enough about yourself that you do it. But that's usually not the case. And so what we've tried to do is put together an exact system that helps people go through all of these steps in order to have something planned for their mental and physical fitness. So that if they just follow this system, it's going to take care of a lot of that. And to provide an opportunity with an exact system of exactly what to do, nothing left to the imagination. If you just follow that system, you'll take care of your finances. We'll show you a leveraged vehicle. And we do that through focusing on personal development, mentorship, mindset, all of those types of things. Because if your mindset isn't there, if you're not working on yourself, it doesn't matter what the system is, you're going to give up, because nothing is very easy. And you need to be glad that it's not easy. These are what I was talking about early when we were starting this podcast, is that mindset of embracing the difficult things and being glad that it's difficult, because that's when most people are going to quit. And if everything was easy, then you probably wouldn't even want it. Let me give you an example. I was talking to a friend the other day who's in really good shape, and it's something that I continually get frustrated on, because I work at it, but I know I could always do better. And I've struggled. I've been able to have my cardio okay. My actual I've never had a prescription. I'm 50 years old. You know, my blood pressure, my pulse, all of those things are okay, but I haven't been able to keep the fat off of my body. And I make all the excuses in the world. I'm stressed out. I travel too much. Some of them valid, but at the end of the day, it's an excuse. You can do better. But I thought that it was interesting when I was talking to somebody, and I was saying, you know what is interesting? If you go back a couple hundred years, almost everybody was in great shape because they were working their ass off. And the people looked at the people that were heavy, the kings and stuff like that, as that's what they wanted, because those were the people that had food all the time, that had money and things like that. So they were actually, the people that were heavier were the ones that were sought after, because everybody was in good shape, because they didn't even have regular meals. They couldn't even eat every day. They're working manual labor. You know what I mean? And so now that food is readily available to everybody, it's now more looked upon as better to be in better shape, because you actually have to earn that. You actually have to do something. If you just eat the foods in the grocery stores and fast food restaurants and stuff like that, you don't move the body. It's almost impossible, especially with the crap they're putting in our foods these days. But it's just kind of interesting how things change. You go back a couple hundred years, people saw the people who were heavy, and those are the people that they looked up to. because it was something special, even if you could eat every day.
Mm-hmm.
But now the food's readily available. It's a completely different ball game. So what that made me think about is, people always want what they don't have, or what they can't have, or something that's hard. And so if every single person had unlimited wealth, there'd be nothing to work towards. There'd be no excitement for it. But because most people don't, and it's hard to achieve, you have to work hard. You can't quit. You have to have consistency. You have to have perseverance, all of these things. Then it actually means something. And that's kind of what we focus on here, is embrace the grind.
Mm.
Be happy that things aren't easy. And be thinking that, you know what? This is when most people quit. When things aren't going my way, when it looks like I'm not even sure if I'm going to make it, that's when you have to double down, go all in, and push through it. And what I've learned in my own life, and not just my own, through working with hundreds of people that have gone on to make, 6, 7, 8-figure incomes, I've seen so many instances that I could literally see the turning point when they're thinking of quitting, and they decided not to quit. And not only did they decide not to quit, they decided to hit it even harder. And then they had those breakthroughs. And I'm not saying it works that way for every single person, but I've seen so many people get to that breaking point, make the decision, you know what? I'm all in. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep going. And then I've seen them have tremendous success. And I've seen so many people that are capable of it, way more capable than I am. And they just constantly give up on themselves. They constantly quit. And so that's really what the accountability aspect is. But in order to be accountable, you have to have a system. If you look at why a franchise is so much more successful than traditional business, not only because they have a system, but they can enforce that system, and people have paid enough for the franchise that they're afraid to lose it. Like if the three of us partnered, let's say that it's $1.5 million to buy a McDonald's franchise. And we all three say, hey, let's do this. Let's each put up 500 grand. And then all of a sudden we're running the restaurant. It's going okay. We're following all the rules. And then Paul's cooking in the kitchen, and he's mixing some sauces together, and he gives us a call and says, you know what, guys? I was in the kitchen. I was mixing this stuff. I have a sauce that's so much better than the Big Mac sauce. Let's go ahead and let's make a new hamburger. And what happens is that's not possible with McDonald's, because they want to make sure they have the consistency. They won't let us change a color. They won't let us change a price. They won't let us change anything. Mm-hmm. And we're happy to follow their rules because we believe in their system, because we've seen the success, and we just each put 500 grand up. But in a business that you put up almost nothing, even if you have the perfect system, it's not really enforceable, because what are we going to do? Kick you out? Okay, we kick you out, but you lost like $50 or something like that. No big deal. It's not you kick you out and you lose a $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million investment. So what makes this business so difficult isn't just not having the system. It's not having a system that you can truly enforce, where the consequences make people follow through. And so you have to have that accountability. You have to have those people that are pushing you, those people because here's the bottom line. Most people will constantly lie to themselves, let themselves down way more than they will other people. I mean, we'll lie to ourselves way more than we'll lie to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so having those accountability partners that are counting on you gives people a much better chance of having success. And that's why we put this as the fourth pillar, and one of the more important pillars in this uncommon movement. So what are your thoughts personally on accountability? Is there anything that you work with your spouse, with your other mentors, or anybody to hold you accountable? Or some people really are just self-accountable. I mean, they keep their word to themselves, but most of them that do that worked on it. They didn't always do it. And it starts with what you was talking about, those little things. Mm-hmm. And you start to focus on, okay, if I tell somebody I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. And if I'm not going to be there, I'm not just going to go MIA. I'm going to call them and,
Mhm.
and say, hey, this came up. I'm not going to be able to make it. Thank you so much for the invite. I hope the party's fantastic, or something like that, as opposed to saying I'm going to be there and then just don't show up. And then, things like that. So, any advice, anything that's helped you, anything that you're working on as far as accountability?
So, I mean, for me, every day, I'm working on getting better. The accountability aspect, I'm pretty much self accountable with my fitness and my health. But because my closest person to me right now is my wife, and she's the one that keeps me on on a straight path. Because your wife or your significant other has a way to prick that little thing to make you, to make you make you jump. So I want to say like my wife is the one. Like I'm pretty, like for the most part, I'm pretty much self accountable to my for myself. But as far as uh other things, my wife keeps me accountable, and my father-in-law as well.
How about in when it comes to your team structure? I know you guys run a national, international business with a whole bunch of independent reps. Like,
Mhm.
Dan was saying, we don't have the enforceability
Mhm.
of a McDonald's. So any techniques you guys use when your organization?
So I mean, we as far as the business, we all hold each other accountable. If we see each other slipping in areas, there's that on our team. There is that openness for nobody's above getting checked. Because you have to be like that. Even if you're a leader, you have to have people that are around you that are not just yes men, or yes people. Like everybody that's around you that's going to say yes to you and going to applaud you for doing well and doing good and all that. Like you don't need them around you. I'm very very big on having people around me that's going to keep me in check and hold me accountable. So at any given time, anybody can hold me accountable because pretty much anybody that's around knows what I stand for. So anytime they can see anybody that's I don't want to use this, but lower. I guess I don't know how that sounds, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
um, anybody can be like, you know what, Paul? I feel as though that was out of pocket that you said, and I'll be like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because we need those people to invoke that thought. You can't be so narcissistic that you're not able to be reeled in. That's why a lot of these famous people that we see now are in the positions that they're in because they accumulated so much power, they didn't keep people around them that was going to keep them in check.
Right, right. Good stuff. Good stuff, brother. Well, I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna close out like champions, and we're gonna go to number five, which if you really pay attention to all five of these, I just say that to the entire world. You'll see how structured and how thorough the foundation of the uncommon movement really is, because I don't think there's anything just more powerful than number five. I like to say, get rich and give back. But the whole concept of giving back, Paul, is so important to us. And like, again, and sometimes we put up the slide here, get rich and give back. But getting rich is not just materialistic. I mean, you could get rich and make hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars and tens of millions and billions of dollars. That is getting rich, but also all this mindset talk. There's so much you can give back in the name of just service and all types of philanthropy. Just charity and the right mentorship to others and conversation. So giving back is really important, from how you treat that waiter. I've been starting to pay attention to things now when it comes to giving back the small things. Paul, I think my day can be complete if I just add just $5 to what I would have normally tipped that waitress or that waiter. My day is more complete than when I do a transaction in any place. If I leave and that person's smiling or even laughing because I gave them a compliment or just kind of made their day a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I leave there feeling great. I won't steal Dan's thunder. He's got an amazing saying, and I don't really remember it anyway. But I leave that moment feeling just as good as they do, and it's amazing. So it's not just money, it's not just all these big things, but what does giving back mean for you and your family, your business team? And I know if I just got to say also, I learned it really from my mom. My mom was probably the biggest giver I've ever met in my life. Just watching how her heart, how she took care of everybody in the community, whether it was our last or not. It's just absolutely amazing. But I saw a reciprocal, God would then bless her, and it just was amazing to witness that. But what's giving back mean for you?
Man, giving back to me is very, very major. Because like I said, I'm a student of the word, and the best giver, the most ultimate giver, was Jesus Christ himself, because he gave himself while he was here on earth. He gave himself and everything that he was, to make sure that everything that was to happen was going to happen. And I'm so big. Me and my wife and I are so big on giving and just helping people, because I truthfully believe the way that you can get people to listen and hear is through their finances. And if you're willing, people will be more inclined to have a conversation with you if you give them something, if that makes sense. Because so many people are so, all they want to do is receive, but they never want to give. And you're never going to get that cycle to come back around if you're always receiving and not giving. Our house is always open for our team, for people, anybody that needs help, and we're able to do it. We have no issue with doing it at all. It's not even a thought, because we all were in a place where we didn't have it, and we completely understand when people don't have it, and we don't give with no intentions. We don't want anything back from it, but it's just our genuine heart to make sure that people are cool, and to make sure that they have everything that they need to get to a certain level in life. And we feel as though we play parts in a lot of people's lives in that aspect.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I like what you said when we asked about your dream earlier, is just to be able to get enough excess that you can help people every single month. And one of the things that I've learned, because when I first got into business for myself and stuff like that, I was really focused on making extra income, making extra money. And it was hard. And I didn't know if I could do it. There's so many times that I thought about quitting and stuff like that. And then when I finally started to make some money, I finally started to see the light at the end of the tunnel and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to do this. I think it's going to work out. I think I'm going to make a lot of money. Then I started to realize that, man, I still have the same problems. I still have things that get me down. I still have, all of these things, this new car, this new house, it makes you happy for a small period of time. But at the end of the day, it's not that fulfilling, because it's kind of like, I look at people that struggle with drug addiction, and so much of drug addiction, and I've never struggled with this, so this is my perception. I'm not saying this is for the exact thing, but so many of it is chasing something that you can't get, and they take it and they kind of expect it to be better, and so it's like, man, I do it again, do more, do this, try this, do that. Because they're chasing something that's unattainable. And I see that with people that are chasing money just to get more and get more and get more and get more, because it's not the money they're chasing. There's other issues that they're trying to feel more fulfilled. They're trying to feel better about themselves. They're trying to get that comfort, to get that peace, to get that happiness, to get that respect, to get whatever it is. And it's not ever going to happen. Just chasing money, just doing this. But when I started to see the feeling of helping people and seeing that smile and seeing that light, that frequency, that vibe open up, and then I'm like, man, I like this way more than just buying something for myself. And I don't dislike buying things for myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still like getting stuff. There's still things that I would still like to get in the future and things like that. But there's nothing that really kind of continually gives you that fulfillment and that excitement and that as helping people and seeing them have hope and seeing them dream again and seeing them just smile. And especially when we go down, and it's not just like other countries that we go and help people with Christmas. I do it right here locally in our own community, because no matter what community you're in, there's people struggling. Mm-hmm. Going to the schools and helping pay off school lunches. There's kids at every school, probably in every district, that are going without lunch because they don't have any money. And there's a whole section of people that don't qualify for the free stuff but can't afford the stuff you have to pay for. So their parents make just a tiny bit too much money for them to get the free meals at school. And, they get behind on their lunch tickets and they go there and sit and watch everybody else eat. And there's some things like that as a parent, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine having the kid so excited for Christmas to come and then no presents. And what's interesting is we've gone to, Peru and Costa Rica and Colombia and Mexico and all these different places. And I do this every year. And I have some people that I work with that I will, if you go buy, a bunch of gifts, I'll put up the money and let's go and let's just go out and give these to kids. And it's just so awesome. And half the time, because we're doing it in many different countries, I'm not even there to see it. But when I see all the pictures of these little kids with the biggest smile that you can possibly imagine, just having this little gift, nothing crazy, but these are kids that literally would have 0 gifts. Mm-hmm. And they're just getting this one thing, and they're almost happier than these other kids that just got a iPhone 15 and an iPad and this and that, right, and a new game and all of these things. And they just got like thousands of dollars worth of gifts, but one of them wasn't available because it was sold out. Now they're mad. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, I just got you like $3,000 worth of stuff. I'd rather gave out this, $10 things to 300 different people that are going to be smiling. I give it all to you, and you're not even grateful for it. And so I think that's why this give back and stuff is so important to me, because I think it'll help keep everybody grounded. I think it'll help with that peace. It'll help with that fulfillment and get out of the whole grind of it's all about you. Because if you're just chasing the money for yourself and you're just doing that, I just think you're going to struggle reaching that definition for myself of success, which is happiness, peace, comfort, all of those types of things. So that's why this is a big deal for me. And the saying that I didn't come up with it, one of my partners in the clothing line that we're launching through Uncommon, he's the one that told me about it. And we have a lot in common. There's just different things, like sometimes at night or sometimes with the gym or whatever, thoughts will come to your mind. And he carries a notebook. I usually just put the notes in my phone, but he carries a notebook, and something will come to his mind. He'll keep it on his nightstand or something, and he'll write it down. And so every time we meet, once every other week or something, we kind of discuss things we've been thinking about and things that have come to our mind. And he was talking to me about these different phrases. And one of them, repeated, was always leave them better. And then in turn, you repeat it again. You'll always leave them better. So I've been focused on that. And it's interesting because I'm not naturally that. I have like an extremely, in most things in life, I have extremely low patience. But yet in business, I've been able to be a little bit more patient and have that grind. And in sports and stuff like that, I was able to be a little bit more patient. But when things are late, when things are taking longer than I want, I'm like, I just don't have patience. If the internet's not going fast, whatever it is. And so problems with flights, things like that, I just want to like get mad at somebody. And the thoughts had to come to my mind. These guys, it has zero to do with them. Mm-hmm. It's not like they messed something up. And they also have almost zero control over anything. They can't make the decision. Like there's nothing that they could do. So what difference does it make to get mad? And so my first thought for, I don't know why it shouldn't be this, has always been like, man, I want to yell at these people. But I've literally been focused on improving this and being like, all these people are super pissed. And just like, I waited in line for over 5 hours. That line was so long and everybody was so mad and everybody's travel plans were so messed up. And so I knew this person has just basically been yelled at for 5 straight hours. And I'm trying to think, what can I say to make him laugh, to make him smile, to brighten it up, to just be like, hey, I appreciate you so much, you know, helping all these people, doing all of this, helping me get this straight. I was super pissed. I was like, how in the world can you not even pay enough attention? Because I already stood in line and you give me a flight to the wrong freaking place. And in another line. So I wasn't happy at all, not even a little bit happy. And I was tired. It was already like 9 p.m. and I just flew 12 hours to the wrong place, back there and then back. And literally the thought came to my mind, always leave them better. And it's probably good that I waited in that line, because my first thought wasn't always leave them better. But it is something that I have been working on, and I've noticed a difference, and I still don't have it down. Like it's not my first thought is to get mad at somebody. And then I step back a little bit, and then I'm like, you know what? I need to do something. These people, it's not in their control. They're just working a job. They probably hate their job. They probably, you know, all of this stuff. What can I do? And so it's something that I'm focused on. Always leave them better, make them laugh, tell them how much you appreciate them, tell them that, you know, thanks so much for the help. Let them know, you know, even ask, you know, like if you're looking for upgrades at hotels or something like that, be super nice, tip them better, do these things, and things start to go your way. And so that's one of the things why I'm so passionate about this give back. And I'm passionate about, I've always been trying to do things to give back and to help people on Christmas and this and that, and, you know, all of these other things. But now I'm more focused on just like the little things, just like somebody working and make them smile and make them laugh, or do something nice, or do, you know, just all those things when I come in contact with them. And that's one of the things that we're hoping that we can, you know, spread, kind of like that, Pay It Forward, that movie, when he's, you know, I got this idea, I'm going to help 3 people and do something nice for them. And then they help 3 people, and they help 3 people. And can somebody literally change the world? And that's my mindset right now, Paul. Can we literally change the world through developing a movement that only has one goal? That goal is just to help people. And give them these guidelines, get enough people giving back. Can we literally change the world? And that's kind of what I think we can, because the numbers work this way. When we talk about leverage, if you're looking at, it doesn't matter the business or anything, but if you're just looking at, if I could help one person who helped one person every single month, and I did that same thing, it doesn't matter how big the world gets. We're about 7 to 8 billion people right now. Even if the world got to 500 billion, it would never take 4 years to reach every single person on the planet. That's just if I helped one person a month that helped one person a month. People have seen that penny doubling. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, et cetera, et cetera. 30 days later, it's 5 million. How this works with helping one a month and teaching them to do the same, it doesn't go 1, 2, it goes 1, 3. because I helped one the first month. They help one, which is now 2, plus I help another one the second month. So that's 3. So we go 1, 3, 7, 15. It's almost double. 30 months, you're looking at 10 million. 36 months, 640 million. Before 4 years, even if the world went to 100 billion, you're still going to do it within 4 years. So can you change the world? My mindset is yes. We can literally change the world by putting something together that has one goal. We want to help every single male 16 and up realize who they are and have a support group, an opportunity, and a system to help them control their mind, control their health, control their finances, control their time, and develop as a person, mindset, accountability, and at the end of the day, give back. And so that's what our goal is. That's all I have to say for tonight, Clavon. If there's anything else that you guys want to close with on this concept of giving back, let's close this thing out.
Well, Paul, it's been really great having you, man. You know what I mean? You're a great gentleman, real peaceful soul, good guy, man, real good guy. And definitely want to give the floor to you for any closing remarks.
Man, listen, this was absolutely amazing. With two great men in this uncommon movement. It's great because I think 16 is a great age, because that's where a lot of times we start losing our younger men, is around the age of 16. Yeah. And if we're able to catch them at 16 and help nurture and cultivate their minds with these five principles, they'll be multi-millionaires by the time they're 21.
Right.
I was looking at my father-in-law was on my wife's book club, and he was like, "There's another generation that's coming up." I forgot what the name of it was, but he said they're gonna be strictly all technology, all technology. So like to get them now in front of that wave is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to being a part. I'm looking forward to assisting in helping these young men get to it, because I know for me it's something I didn't have.
Right.
Like these weren't around like when I was 16. And I think it's great that we'll be able to show them like LLCs and business bank accounts and taxes and all that stuff now. So by the time they get to 21 and they start reaching that first million, that they know how to manage it, they know where to put it.
That's the goal, brother. But we got 33 episodes archived and locked in, where we think is a great example of what our deposit is, and to making the world a better place and helping men stand up strong and be men and lead their households, lead their own lives, lead their households, and lead their communities. We know how important it is. So you've added value.
Self definitely can't lead a household.
Yeah. That's where it starts, brother. So you added value, man. You added value to everybody out there. Please share this broadcast right now. Like the broadcast. You can follow us and see all of our previous 32 episodes on our YouTube channel. We have the handle right up there. And this has been great. Dan, this has been awesome. And listen, man, we came, we saw, we conquered. We got a real exciting guest next week. Next Monday, we will be back here for another episode of Uncommon Mondays. And guys, we are not going to stop, okay? We are out of here. We came, we saw, we conquered, gentlemen.
All right, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.